Hello, I'm Daniel. Before I start, I'm curious, who here has used virtual reality before? Who here has used augmented reality? Okay. So I'm a VR and AR designer and prototyper from Google. So I'm going to be talking to you about two VR and AR design lenses, asymmetry and asynchrony. I'll be showing a bunch of different experiments that our team has done and examples by focusing a variety of different modalities of engagement, including VR to 2D, VR to VR, and AR to AR. So we make a mobile VR platform called Daydream. There are these ultra comfortable headsets. This is our new one that we just announced pretty recently. It's kind of this cloth material. You just drop your Android phone in and instantly you have a high quality VR experience. The idea is to try to make VR something that is more accessible for people. Less expensive, easier to jump into, more comfortable. These are some of the experiences you can find on there. We also recently announced a platform called AR Core. This is a layer on top of Android. There's an SDK available on developers.google.com that allows you to start using the cameras on your Android devices to place 3D objects within the world and create awesome AR experiences like these. You can have a mountain in your world. You can have the scarecrow, have a lion. You get the idea. All right. So VR and AR design is in its infancy. This whole industry, both VR and AR, are really, really early. There are so many different aspects of VR and AR design that haven't even been explored yet, and entire genres of experiences that we haven't even imagined yet. These aspects break down into a variety of questions and problems. A handful are listed behind me: solo versus multiplayer, 3 degrees of freedom versus 6 degrees of freedom, interactive versus static, etc. But today I'm going to be focusing on one area, which is multi-person interactions. Specifically for this talk, I want to talk about designing for two attributes that I don't think get discussed enough, which is asymmetric and asynchronous experiences. Let me first start talking about some of the awesome multi-person work that is happening today in VR to VR experiences. This is an amazing space. You have hand interactions, you're transported to another world. We think that these kind of experiences represent the future. It's just a ton of fun. So this was an experiment that we did using our app called TiltBrush. Who here has tried TiltBrush? Cool, very few people. So TiltBrush is a VR painting application. It's really amazing. You basically just reach out and start painting. People are creating incredible pieces of art in this. They're all in a gallery on google.com. You guys should definitely check it out. But we wanted to experiment to see if we could take this a step further. So we enabled multi-person creation. And what this does is it's kind of similar to real life. When you start designing or creating with other people, you get inspired in ways that you wouldn't have if you had just been doing it kind of in this isolated bubble. People are able to play off of each other, collaborate, discuss, and debate their work. It's potentially more creative and more fun as a result. This is a prototype from our Daydream Labs team. Our Daydream Labs team is like our rapid prototyping team internally to test out different ideas. This experiment lets people learn and solve physics problems. So it's basically like a teaching tool. Having two people in there makes it so that one person might be the teacher, one person might be the student, or both students. They can kind of solve these things together. An interesting design element of this, once it turns back to the other character, you can see the way we're representing the people is really simple. It's basically the head is a cardboard box with eyes, and then we have these silly little hands. Now, it's really incredible how much expression that conveys. Because you're actually getting people's real head motion and real hand motion, it's amazing how much you can start to recognize people based on those elements without even any sort of visual indication of who they are. It's more fun, it's more collaborative, and is a great learning experience. A couple months back at our Google I/O conference, we announced a new feature coming to YouTube VR. So YouTube VR, if you haven't tried it, is YouTube in VR. It lets you watch videos as if you have a 100-inch screen, as well as 360 and stereoscopic videos. This new feature we added allows you to not only watch these alone, not only have that great experience, but start watching with other people, talk about the videos you're watching, see what they're watching, and share videos and learn together. It's super fun and coming soon. So we think VR to VR is awesome. It allows for incredible experiences. It's engaging, collaborative, and downright fun. However, there's kind of a big issue right now with VR to VR experiences. And that's kind of what we illustrated before when I asked who's tried VR, who's tried these experiences, and that not that many people have VR headsets right now. Not only that, if they do, their headset might not be compatible with yours, they might not have the same application, and most importantly, they probably aren't online at the same time. It's very, very low probability. So how do we fix this? How do we start designing experiences that engage people, both in VR and outside of VR? So I'm going to throw a statement here. I think some of the most inviting VR apps will be the ones that understand how to engage those who actually aren't in VR. What does this mean? I'm going to put this in terms of a couple different design lenses. So one, how can I engage a larger audience by making my experience asymmetric? Two, how can I build an audience by considering different modalities of engagement? And three, what's the benefit of allowing my users to engage with an experience asynchronously? So let's dig into the definitions of these words. Asymmetric. What we're talking about here is letting users on different devices, and importantly, it's not just virtual reality, interact with a shared experience. This ties in closely with modalities of engagement, which can be anything from VR to VR experiences, VR to desktop, so like having your computer monitor show what the person in VR is seeing, VR to TV. You can do this through things like Chromecasting, which a lot of people have and is very accessible. VR to phone, most people have smartphones in their pocket. VR to, now that we have things like AR Core and AR Kit, all these devices are becoming AR enabled, so you can create really immersive experiences that way. And then finally, AR to AR. Asynchronous allows users to participate in a shared experience, even if they're not engaging at the same time. So this is that problem that I was talking about before, where yeah, even if you happen to get the perfect conditions where people have all the right devices and all the right applications and everything like that, it's still pretty rare that we're going to happen to be online at the same time. So I think a good example of this in the non-VR space is something like Farmville or like the Facebook games, where you can go into Farmville, you can see your friend's farm, the cows, whatever stuff that they've been building, but they don't necessarily have to be online at that moment. It feels like a living community. What you do there has an effect. But again, it solves the problem of people not necessarily being online at the same moment. So if you've tried VR, a lot of VR experiences has a form of asymmetry, which is the mirror window mode. So this means that while one person is in VR, on the computer monitor behind them, you can kind of see a first-person perspective of what they're doing. Now, this is often taken for granted because it's often built into a lot of the development tools out there, like Unity or Unreal. They make it super stupid easy, so it's often a no-brainer. However, it's super surprising how much you miss it when it's not there. We have a product called Google Earth VR. If you haven't had the opportunity to try it, I would recommend it. It's very beautiful. It's very amazing. It allows you to basically explore the Earth with incredible 3D models and imagery and go anywhere. It's awesome. So when this came out, I invited my parents over. I was really excited to show them. My dad kind of pushed everyone out of the way and jumped into VR. And while my dad was blown away by this experience, my mom sat there and kept asking what he was seeing, because this is all we had at that time. We didn't have mirror window mode away. She said, you know, Dave, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? And it was kind of this frustrating experience for everyone involved. A little while later, our team added this mirror window mode. I did this exact same thing. I invited my parents over again, and it was a completely different experience. My dad still was the one who jumped into VR, pushed everyone out of the way. But now my mom and I, because we can see what he was doing, and this is kind of what that looks like, my mom and I were yelling at him to go left, go right, try these new places, check out things he's missed. It's kind of like the VR equivalent of backseat driving, but you know, kind of a much more fun experience. This gives you a sample of what the app is. So you can go anywhere in the world. You can reach up to the sky and change the time of day and make a beautiful sunset. You can see this beautiful 3D imagery, fly around. It's super awesome. Now, our mobile team, the Daydream team, noticed how important the second screen experience was as well. So we don't have the luxury, because you're using your phone, of having a built-in second screen like you do on a computer. So we recently added Chromecast support to Daydream. It's really simple. It's a couple clicks away, and you can instantly send what you're seeing to the TV. It morphs Daydream into an experience that, again, is not just fun for someone who's within their headset, but for everyone in the room. It becomes a fun experience for everyone on the couch. You can take this even further. So you can have interactive asymmetry. These are kind of custom second window views. You can easily make the experience way, way, way more engaging, fun, a much better designed experience by adding simple interactions for those not in VR. So like a couple examples of this could be giving the user the ability to move the camera around, coming up with interesting interaction models between those in VR and those not in VR that use the advantages of both mediums. This is a game called Job Simulator. It's really fun. It lets you simulate what it's like to have mundane jobs in virtual reality. And they added this great feature called Spectator Cam. And again, it's trying to accomplish what I was just talking about, where rather than just showing you the first-person perspective like you're seeing right now, which is great, but it kind of gets confusing because things are moving around quickly and you don't really know how it's happening, it allows the viewer to choose which view they want to see, right? So now you can see that it shows the headset and the hands and becomes much more understandable to those outside of VR, and because they have things they can move around, it becomes a much more fun experience. You can also do this on mobile with Chromecast. This was an experiment that our Daydream Labs team did by building a custom Chromecast protocol. So you can see this is this really fun app for kids, and one of the great parts of it are the character designs and how they're interacting together. But if you just did a normal second window view, you would only really kind of see the environment and sometimes their hands. And while the environment's beautiful, the thing that makes this exciting are how the characters interact. So by doing something as simple as just putting another camera in the screen, in the scene, and sharing out that view instead, it becomes a much more fun, exciting, immersive experience for everyone else outside. This was a fun one. So this is an experiment, again, done by our Daydream Labs team to kind of explore what telling your kid a story, like a storybook scenario, would look like in VR. So the child who's in VR gets to experience the magic of fully immersive storytelling, and the parent can interact with their child from their phone, from the phone that they have in their pocket. And they can go through the story, they can see what their children are looking at, they can help them, and becomes, rather than just one person VR and one person not, it becomes this interactive conversation where the parent and the child can interact, and the parent can help guide them through. Live streaming is another great way to do this. This is a really clever interactive thing that was done by an app, a third-party app not made by Google, called Fantastic Contraption. And what it does is it actually integrates live Twitch, which is a live streaming platform, comments into the virtual reality environment. So what that means is that it's not a one-way conversation where the people outside the VR can see what they're seeing, but instead you can start to see in real time the comments that come back and react and interact. Again, it's all about kind of building this conversation. It's super fun. All right, so asymmetry lets us share experiences across device. It's amazing, it's great. Asynchrony lets us share experiences across time. Why is this important? Well, again, it's not that likely that people are going to be in the same VR experience, in VR at all, at the same time. So when you start sharing out, you have these casual lean-back experiences, but it makes VR immersive environments accessible to billions of people. A great example of this is the YouTube platform. You can see here, this was a really awesome painting that someone created in that app I was showing before, Tilt Brush. It was of the Wonder Woman film. But it's not only as a video, it's actually an interactive video. It's in 360 and it's stereoscopic, meaning that no matter what platform you're on, you can look around, spend time focusing on the awesome environment or the characters or really whatever you want. And of course, you can do this on the web, or if you have a phone, it becomes a cool experience where you can just kind of move your phone around like this to look around. Or if you have one of our products like Cardboard, you can look at it in 3D and simply by moving your head around. So this is something called mixed reality. You know, like we showed before, there's a lot of people who have never tried VR before. So anything we can do to start to make this feel more accessible, more relatable, more human, we should, so that people can start understanding why this medium is awesome. So what this does is you film the person in front of a green screen with some specialized camera equipment, and you can superimpose the people who are in VR into their VR environments, so that the people who are watching this online can understand it a little bit more easily, and it also just looks freaking cool. Now, what about the spaces themselves? I gave the example of Farmville before, which does an incredible job of having persistent worlds. This was a little demo app that our team built, the Daydream Labs team built, and you can see someone is tending to their garden and choosing which veggies to plant, trimming the hedges, whatever. But what's great about this is the next time someone goes into this app, whether it's this person or the next person, all those changes that that person made persist. So again, it feels like this living world. We love the example that virtual worlds should be like the real world, where your presence matters. You do something, and it lasts beyond your time there. Cool. So that's sharing out. Got another one in here. VR to AR. With the launch of our AR core platform and competing platforms online, soon many people will be able to have a device with 6 degrees of freedom. 6 degrees of freedom means it's not only getting rotation, but also allowing you to move forward and understanding where you are in the world. Device in their pockets. This enables great new types of interactivity between VR and AR, which utilize spatial information. This is an incredibly hard design problem because you have to understand how to design not only for a mobile device, but how to utilize space moving forward and back, rotating into the app. This is a cool experiment that our team did that kind of combines a lot of the things we've been talking about. It's a social movie making app. You grab these objects, these props from this panel, you can shrink down into the size of the stage, and you just pick things up and move them around to animate them. And then we wanted a way to share out. So we gave them a camera. You can go and film VR environments and output this to YouTube. So you can share it, put it on social media, have a great experience. We thought it was really fun, but we wanted to push ourselves to think of ways we can engage people in other form factors, particularly with AR. We came up with this concept where your phone, the person in AR, actually becomes the camera person. So you have this great VR scene, the people animate in VR, but then someone takes their phone and is able to just simply by moving around and pressing record, create movies. You can see this movie there's an astronaut, and a plane flies by, and then the astronaut jumps on the plane and gets a free ride. Finally, we're incredibly excited about how multiplayer can make AR to AR experiences awesome. We wanted to show a fun experiment that we did in this area. This is called AR Boat Racer. It's really simple. Both people have their own boats, and simply by physically blowing on the sails, blowing on your phone, and moving forward in space, you're able to move the boat towards the goal. You can see here Kevin and Samantha are racing. Samantha is kind of stuck. Kevin is pulling ahead, and Samantha got across the finish line. And again, this is the kind of experience that is pretty unique to AR because of the fact that it's actually using your physical space. It's designed to use the physical space, to walk forward, to actually create these interactions. So I want to challenge you guys. You have all this incredible technology that's coming out. You have AR on millions of devices around the world, iPhones, Android phones. You have VR headsets, which are becoming more and more accessible, both through Daydream, through Cardboard, through high-end ones that use your PC. Be creative in thinking about how you can combine and link these platforms. Not just use one, but think about the strengths of each platform for creation, interaction, and consumption. Thank you very much.